Hello. This week's episode of the 80s Twilight Zone features Dead Woman's Shoes and Wang's Lost and Found Emporium. So we're going to start with Dead Woman's Shoes, which is a remake of a classic episode called Dead Man's Shoes. And it stars Jeffrey Tambor, who we've seen in a bunch of other things, but I immediately recognize him from Hellboy 2. He did a bunch of other stuff as well. And the setup for this episode involves her walking to her place of employment, the thrift shop, and you can see the very unsure steps and how we're being conveyed that this person is unsure and has no sort of assertiveness to her, which is a good setup for later on in the episode. I don't know if you recall when we watched the classic one, Dead Man's Shoes, how I remarked how you could see the shoes changing his direction, how you can see sort of how the shoes affect him. This is the setup for that bit. The episode also stars Robert Pastorelli as just the guy, the man, who harasses her in the thrift shop. Very underrated actor, I think. Has done a bunch of other better stuff. And of course, taking off the shoes, which she does when she's going to take a bath, is how she cancels out the effect, same as the old episode. And it's just, it's a good sort of how this is supposed to work. If you're not wearing the shoes, then it doesn't work at all. She comes out wearing these shoulder pads. I mean, this is the 80s, man. These shoulder pads. Whew. And I have to wonder, since she's wearing stockings, how did she get those on without taking the shoes off? Because I doubt she would be taking the shoes off to put the stockings on, realize where she is, and then put the shoes back on. They just skip that, but I just noted, because I'm a nerd, right? The secretary in the office is Nana Vister, who is Kira Nerys in Deep Space Nine. That's a very early part of hers, and I was like, that's Kira Nerys. It is Kira Nerys. Although she didn't have her bejeweled nose bridge thing. The woman in the mirror is Pia Grønning, a Danish actress who didn't make a big splash in Hollywood, although I think that with that look she probably should have. I don't know why that didn't come together, but that is the image she's seeing in the mirror. Then we go on this chase where she chases down her murderous ex-husband, I suppose, and it's slightly sped up. This footage is slightly sped up, and it does look a bit hokey. I don't like it. I get how they want to make it look more dynamic, especially with her in heels. It would look kind of clunky, but it doesn't look that cool. I don't like it all that much. And the episode sort of ends with this police officer. They're talking about, this assailant who's turned up at his house and started shooting at him. And they mentioned there's a lot of crazies out there, which is an interesting line, because the actress who played Ines, Teresa Solana, she actually had a stalker who approached her at her home and attacked her with a knife. Right? It's a very sort of terrifying thing to have happen. And they just mentioned that in this episode. It happened, the stalking incident happened before this. So, Anyway, we then move on to Wang's Lost and Found Emporium, where we find Brian Tochi, who played in Revenge of the Nerds, and now plays a very unsympathetic character walking through this Emporium. And it's bigger on the inside, and I think that they illustrate this well with the sort of door thing. I like how they play that out, that he's sort of checking that, it can't possibly fit in here. It's very TARDIS-like in that regard. Carol Bruce, who plays the woman who wanted to be a sculptor and loses all the mice, she was horrified to find that one of the prop skeletons isn't plastic, but is actually a real human skeleton that CBS Property Room just had on storage. Because back in the day, that used to be a thing. I remember going to an elementary school that had a real skeleton in it. It was some poor Chinese farmer that someone bought at some point. It's very creepy when you think about it. The mirror effect on the father who lost the respect of his children is great. It's a practical effect and then an optical effect on top, which sort of does weird stuff with it. But the mask job here is excellent. He looks very scary. I get what they're trying to convey. It's very well done. The two bottles that he drops, the memory of the picnic and his integrity, they both break and release the thing that he's supposed to remember, and he gets those back. But the vial with his sort of empathy and compassion, that has also broken. Why wouldn't that just have released, right? Why wouldn't he regain that? Because the other ones break. The rules are not being consistent here. This is very much like the room of requirement, if you read Harry Potter. You know, it's the place you go to when you need to find a thing that you lost somewhere. This is also a reimagining of a classic episode called The Chaser, which had a guy trying to buy a love potion. It's in the earlier seasons. And it had a planned sequel, which didn't come to pass, unfortunately. But that's stuff that happens. We then move on to next week, where we have opening day, we have the Shadow Man, and we have the Doctor, Uncle Devil's Show. That's the one. Yeah. Okay. I look forward to seeing that. Take care now. Bye.